there any public comments? All right. Is that a public comment?
For an item.
All right. Okay. So we have several public hearings tonight. I am going to read a statement regarding quasi-judicial hearings.
Ready?
There are several public hearings tonight on land use applications. The staff report has been prepared for each application and has been made available to the public 7 days before the first public hearing. The staff report identifies the approval criteria that apply to each applicant's proposal. Staff has analyzed the criteria which are contained in the staff report. The quasi-judicial hearing procedure that the commission will follow is set out in the state law and Oregon City Municipal Code. The hearing procedure steps are shown on the chart over here. Anyone wishing to speak should fill out a speaker's card, which is back over there, and give it to the planning staff before the hearing. Speakers will proceed in the order in which their card is received. You should fill out your address on the card so the city will notify you of its final decision. For the public record, please begin all testimony stating your name. Testimony and evidence should be directed toward the applicable approval criteria. If you believe other criteria apply in addition to those addressed in the staff report, identify and discuss those criteria and explain how and why you believe they apply to the application under consideration. A person may submit any written material while the public record is open on each application. Any written materials received by the city staff during the time period in which the record is open will be placed in the record. Written materials submitted during the public hearing must be presented to the city staff in order to become part of the record. If a person intends for PowerPoint presentations, oversized poster boards, reports, pictures, or other exhibits used in the oral testimony to be placed in the record, copies must be submitted to the city staff while the record is open. If they are not given to staff, they will not be included in the record. Any person wishing a continuance to present additional evidence and testimony or to keep the record open to respond to new evidence must make that request before the public testimony portion of the hearings is closed. If the Planning Commission makes a decision with which you disagree, any issue that you may wish to appeal must have been raised for consideration of the City Commission or LUBA or both. Without raising the issue on the record with sufficient specificity and accompanied by statements or evidence that the city and all parties can respond, the issue will be not deemed appealable to the State Land Use Board of Appeals. In addition, the failure of an applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to the proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow the local government or its designee to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. Does any commissioner have any ex parte context, conflicts, or interest, bias, or any other statements to declare?
No. On this one, no.
No. No.
Okay. Have the board members visited the sites in question for each of the hearings tonight?
Yes.
I have. Yes.
Yes, yes. Does anyone in the audience wish to question any of the commissioners about these disclosures? All right. So I will tell you how this will work. The public hearing process will go as follows. The staff will provide a report. Public testimony will begin with 15 minutes for the applicant, 5 minutes for representatives of a recognized neighborhood association, government agency, or other incorporated public interest organization, 3 minutes for individuals, 5 minutes for applicants, rebuttal, and questions of the staff. So I'll probably keep a shot clock. We don't have one set up, but I will be adhering to those numbers of minutes for each person. So that'll be on me, I guess. So we will start with PC 20-033, HR 2006, and HR 2007, historic review for partial demolition of a designated structure and replacement addition in the McLaughlin Conservation District, the H. Layton Kelly House. So we'll start with staff.
We can get these set up.
Oh, yeah.
When we need to.
Is it hard to do, huh?
I
We'll see.
I did speak with Cameron for a few minutes about the Fifth Street place, but I'll wait until it gets to that. hearing, and then I'll just say that, we did, I just wanted to disclose.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to do that or not, or you want me to just keep an
I'm
eye.
just gonna put this on the table
Yeah, if you
now.
can
Oh, cool.
keep it rocking.
I'll give this to you. Here, wait.
Do you want
I'm gonna
us
get through
to?
the instructions.
Yeah.
Okay. So HR 2006 and 2007, the application is for partial demolition of a portion of a designated structure in the McLaughlin district, and then a subsequent addition or replacement of that space that was demolished with a new addition to the home. So this is at 806 Washington Street. It's the Leighton Kelly house. You can see a photo from about 1980 or so, and then a photo of the home today. So the demolition has actually already occurred. So the owner is asking for retroactive approval for that demolition, and then for approval to replace the area with a new addition to the house. The demolition occurred on the back portion of the home, right there, about 160 square feet. It was not part of the original volume of the structure, but it was added at a later date. The new addition would be the same square footage with a slightly different configuration for the stairs and entryway up to that area, and with a different kind of roof shape. And so this is an architectural drawing looking at the rear of the home. This whole section here with the lower gable roof would be the new addition. So here are some photos of what was there, what was demolished. It was just this back kind of porch type structure. And there's a photo of the inside of it. You can see it was clearly added later because this is the siding on the back of the house with the kind of windows on the back of the house. And then it's kind of a little sun patio. And so the new addition would differ in the configuration of the entry, the roof shape, which I believe is more appropriate for the house than the shed roof that was there previously. The applicant proposed to use all the same materials that are on the original home. All the materials that are proposed are appropriate and meet the design guidelines. And so the only condition of approval that I recommend is just an assurance that there's no pressure-treated wood utilized, and that for the railing on the porch portion down here, that the railing comply with HRB policies, which require a top and bottom rail and the balusters attached on the inside of the railings. I will add, because if you've been to the site, you have seen that the front porch is under construction as well. That the owner has obtained permits for other work on the house that is separate from this particular project. The porch was approved by staff as something that meets the HRB policies. So the porch is being rebuilt to resemble this photo with the belly band and these drainage holes in the porch. And so no other changes are proposed other than those, to what it looked like very recently. The stairs may have an added railing as well, but the columns, the wall height, the siding will all be to match what was there previously and the owners proposed to utilize wood. All the HRB policies have been met for that. In addition, there's some siding replacement going on up in this gable and in a few other places on the home, and the owner proposed wood siding to match the original, and that was also approved at a staff level. So I just want to clarify that those projects are separate from this review, and they've already been reviewed and approved by staff. And we do have correspondence that I want to make sure gets entered into the record. It's comments from the McLaughlin Neighborhood Association. They were emailed to you, but then there were also some subsequent emails about the porch work that I want to make sure is in the record and available to you. So. And if you all saw your email today, then you already saw this.
I was trying to see what the difference was. Is there more than one?
No, I got too many.
Is there, some of these all the same?
Oh, yeah, it is.
They are the same?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Put them down. Okay.
Yeah, I saw this. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
okay,
That's it.
okay. So we can move to the applicant if they want to come forward, state your name and the city you reside in.
I'm the applicant, and my name is Craig Curtis.
Come on up here and do it here. You've got it. Are those little red things glowing on the microphones? No, on the.
Oh, yeah, it's, okay. Yep, I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my name is Craig Curtis. and-
Hold on just a second, please.
I can manually time because I'm
I could do that
still
too.
working on this.
Do you want me to just start it? I can do
Or
it.
one of us can do it, because
I'll-
you're doing it.
Well, if one of you guys want to do it, I've just got to put the hammer down. I don't want to. Oh, go ahead. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm Craig Curtis, and I've submitted the application, and I'm the owner of the home. And it's a beautiful home, and I'm very happy to restore it. So I think my application's been pretty thorough, but I'm certainly happy to ask questions or clarify any questions anybody has. I don't really have much to present. I think Kelly's done a pretty nice job presenting where I am in the restoration process.
Yeah, yeah. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant?
I'd just like to make a comment that I admire that you're using all the correct
Materials.
Guidelines.
materials and
Thank you,
stuff.
thank you.
Yeah, that you've gone the extra.
Pleasure to do so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I recognize that it's not the most affordable way, but it's the correct way.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all aware of that.
Well, that's true, but I
jewel-
love the home and plan on, being there for a very long time, so it's,
Cute
making
little
it
house.
last another 100 years.
No, I mean,
the idea.
it's, I don't, yeah. Any questions for anyone?
No
Do
question.
you want to say anything else other than that? I mean, you don't, you can take as little time as you want,
Because we got lots on the agenda.
I tried to present a very thorough application,
Yeah.
so it was all clear of my intentions and what I've
Have you done
I
this
think that-
before?
No, I haven't. Oh, actually, I have restored a home. Yes, I have. I have restored a
Okay.
home before. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Okay,
Correct.
cool.
Not here in Oregon City, but yes.
Gotcha. Okay,
Here.
well, thank you.
Okay.
I have no public comments. Or people that want to make, well,
Not on,
You haven't gotten
I'm not
it yet.
sure what this one is for. Linda?
Yeah, mine is for the house that's, or the lot that's in.
Oh, gotcha.
Walnut Street.
For-
okay, so nothing for this one.
That's okay.
Cameron?
Oh, did
Sure, Neighbor Association.
did you fill out something?
Not for this one, but for,
Okay.
I didn't think it was necessary since.
Yeah, now we got this, okay. Then I'm gonna close the thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You do wanna come up here? Oh, okay. Come on up. Not you.
No, we're good. I'm good. Okay.
Yeah.
You're next.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Okay, you've got 5 minutes.
Yeah. I'll make it shorter than that.
Please.
My name is Cameron McCready. I'm chair of the McLaughlin Neighborhood Association. I just want to say that it was great to see the email that the builder sent to us today. It really explained a lot. There was a bit of confusion as to was there a permit issued prior to work beginning? Why is this before the HRB after the fact? There were vinyl windows. We learned they're going to be removed and replaced with wood windows. It's nice to see that there's going to be scuppers, the original scuppers are going to return. The one thing that we haven't noticed in the plans is what kind of railing that the front steps are going to have. We're hoping it's just going to be very basic vernacular railing, not what the old picture shows, not what the current picture is at, but
Well, the old picture, they're not even to code, so I'm sure.
yeah. So that's the one thing we haven't seen plans for. But other than that, we're happy with what.
Well,
what
it's
we're
nice,
seeing.
yes, to see somebody doing it, and
Yeah.
it's
Making
commendable.
the effort
Thank
to
you.
do
Yeah,
that.
thank you. Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing now. The board can deliberate or make a motion or whatever you guys want to do. Thanks.
I move for approval of this application, subject to the conditions stated in the staff report. Incised lumber or pressure-treated wood shall not be used on any visible surfaces, and all railings shall be installed with top and bottom rail with balusters attached within the railing.
Somebody want to second that?
Second that.
Oh, it's a race.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and call for a vote.
Okay,
Please.
Board Member Stobie,
Aye.
Board Member Met,
Aye.
Board Member Basinger,
Aye.
Board Member Blythe,
Aye.
Chair McLaughlin.
Aye. Thank you.
Aye, aye.
Okay. Our next one. HR 20-02, historical review for a new two-story mixed-use building in the McLaughlin Conservation District at 927th Street.
So before you have your staff report, I know you've called for ex parte contacts and site visits and all that stuff, but
You
I
want
want to, you don't have to read the disclosures again, but I want to invite anyone who didn't realize that you were sort of globally asking to,
It was the most efficient way.
I appreciate that.
Time.
But if you want me to do it for each one, ex parte?
I think it would be good to do the ex parte site visit, conflict of interest for each one.
That's
just
fine.
so the public knows that we're talking about,
Okay, no, I'm happy to do
we're
that.
talking about the 927th Street proposal now. And
Okay, yeah. So, okay, then the 927th Street proposal. Does any commissioner have any ex parte contacts, conflicts of interest, bias, or any other statements to declare?
No.
Has any commissioner visited the site?
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Yes.
does anyone in the audience wish to question any of the commissioners about these disclosures? Okay, then we'll go to the staff.
Right.
Let's see which ones.
Okay, so this is HR 2002, a historic review for a new two-story mixed-use building in the McLaughlin District. This is a continuance of this item from the January meeting. The McLaughlin Neighborhood Association requested a continuance at that hearing, and that was granted. So this is 927th Street on the corner of Monroe and 7th. The previous building there was Olson's Pharmacy. For several years, the site has been vacant, just the old foundation and one wall is remaining. And so that's what it looks like today.
Tree grows in Brookline.
Neighboring historic designated structures include the church house, which is directly adjacent, and the Far Store, which is across the street. And so that's the church house. We have a Victorian Queen Anne apartment building. So the building that's proposed has it's built almost to the property lines, rectangular in shape, with commercial space on the ground floor, and then 13 residential units. There's an existing parking lot that is behind the building on Monroe Street, and it's across an alley, and that's the parking lot that's proposed to serve this. This project also has to go through site plan design review, which is a staff level review, and that staff level review would cover things like parking and landscaping. And so, along with some design standards as well. But the Historic Review Board design guidelines supersede the design standards in the site plan design review. So the applicant has shown the proposed structure next to the church house. Then we've got the Monroe Street elevation on the bottom. And then this is the elevation of facing the church house there. And there's the rear elevation. So this building also, a very similar design, was reviewed in 2014 by the board. So some of the findings and conditions, I looked back at, what the board decided on last time. Clearly the project never went past the historic review stage. But I did look back to see what the board decided last time, and that helped to inform some of the conditions of approval this time around. So there are the floor plans. And I did add a condition since January, and that is number 3, that the applicant shall ensure the new structure walls are placed at least 5 feet from the church building eave, or to meet minimum building code spacing requirements, whichever is greater. So depending on, the fire rating of the wall that is used on the new building, building code might require a greater than 5 foot separation. But if they use the best firewall rating material on that wall, then building code would allow that to be 5 feet from the church house. And I've specified that we want to measure that distance not from the wall of the church house, but from the overhanging eave on the side. This condition is kind of in response to some public comments that were submitted. Also, we did receive comments from the neighborhood association regarding that first condition. And this is kind of, I included this based on the HRB's decision last time, which, or actually the design that was proposed last time was, included bay windows. And, it had more Queen Anne elements on it, and it seemed like that was something that the board desired last time around. The McLaughlin Neighborhood Association has commented that the change in the roof pitch and the bay windows are not necessary for this building. So that's just why I highlighted that, to see if the board wants to change that condition or remove it potentially. Other than that, the only other, so staff recommends approval with a few conditions regarding the floor heights, and then the materials, where materials weren't fully specified in the application. That's all I have.
Got it. Okay. Well, then we can go ahead with the applicant if they want to come forward, state their name and city of residence. And you've got 15 minutes.
John Delson Engineering.
Great.
Just a little bit of background on my side, master's degree in Europe. I spent 5 years on international projects in Germany, mostly 3 years, Czechoslovakia and Poland. In '89, we moved to States. In 1991, graduated second time from a local university, and since that time, 1991, been in construction and design, professional. Okay, I would like to clarify a couple of those items that Ms. Reed just spoke, clarify and straighten out. Actually, if you could please put this on the wall again.
Oops.
Yeah, okay, so as far as the pitch of the roof, yes, it was the The proposal on outside, it was approved in 2012 as a 3-story with the same appearance and building footprint. And then in 2014 as a 2-story with the same appearance and footprint of the building. Okay, so we, the owner, would prefer to keep 2-story, and then rather than going with the same pitch, the owner would suggest going with slightly lower pitch and also lower the heights requirements. I know that per city building code, 12 feet on commercial is required. We've been talking about this before, at least several times, and we request that 11 feet would be approved, 1 foot lower and slightly lower pitch, due to the reason that if we go with the higher floor ceiling height and higher pitch, we'll be above the historical building. And my understanding was from the neighborhood association that they don't want this building to overwhelm the historical building and be higher and larger. And so I think it was clear, but apparently, according to the recommendation, it's not clear. And it's vague for us. I mean, if we absolutely must go higher, we can go higher. But in my opinion, I don't know what is the board opinion, and we want to hear, of course, from you. Should we go higher or keep the same? If you read the recommendations or and the president of the neighborhood association is here. They like the design, and their recommendation is not to go with the higher pitch and higher floor ceiling height. There is second thing. There is misunderstanding about 0.3, 5 feet from the church. Okay, as it was before the Olson building, we followed the same footprint on the main level, and on the main level it used to be commercial. The new proposal is also commercial facing the building. We may go 8 inches further what was before, so 3'8" instead of 3 feet. The setback, which is required by the code, is only when we have on the upper level, when we have windows and doors. We have to step 5 feet from the property line to avoid a fire code problem and fire separation. I don't know if anybody in the board has architectural engineering background. But according to my recollection and according to the code, only in this area it is required to step back 5 feet. I mean, we can go closer, but we will have to have fire-rated windows and door, which is very expensive. So that's why we propose to move back 5 feet. But the other walls will stay about 3'8", just like it was before, from the building. So I think this is misunderstanding, and I don't understand why. Maybe I will hear explanation and what's going on, because the footprint of the building, as I said, has been already approved, and we are not inclined. The owner, I know, he will not like to change anything what has been already approved twice, and my understanding is that the historical guidelines has not changed since that time.
Anybody have any questions for the applicant?
So for commercial, you explain it again. So the setback for commercial is
Maybe we
different
can
than it is for residential, but yet you'd still have residential on the first floor
Yes.
in the back.
And
Yes.
commercial.
And commercial.
Right.
So wouldn't it take the greater of the two?
As I said, each wall, residential or commercial, can be right on the property line. And
But then you have to have a
building-
fire retardant.
Of course, and
1 hour.
and there
or
is
whatever.
no problem doing 2-hour separation wall. It's just 2 layers of sheetrock on each side.
It's a lot more expensive.
If we don't have opening, we can do this.
Oh, no windows, you mean?
Right, window or door. We can put window, but it would have to be a fire rated, which is expensive, and we want to avoid this. That's why the new proposed building is 5 feet from the property line, but not the footprint of the building. That's misunderstanding. a serious misunderstanding. So that needs to be clarified, and we need to hear from the board. What should we go? Because we are between hammer and the rock. I don't know what is more important. But as far as heights of the building, I explained that unfortunately we mix residential and commercial. That's another thing. So if commercial is 12 feet, we need to provide a ramp to residential. We can gain only 1 foot height. So we will end up with residential to being 11-foot ceiling on 10 by 10 bedrooms,
Rooms.
11-foot ceilings. Who will do this? Nobody is doing this.
You can just drop the ceiling.
It can be done, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just want to mention that since I observe the building code in this country, but in any, it changes every 3 to 4 years. And to each code and each regulation, there is exception. And we as humans, we take this into consideration, not like a robot, follow blindly, but we take in consideration of flexible, and we do the proper practical wisdom judgment. So from practical point of view, from construction point of view, there does not make sense whatsoever to make residential portion 11 feet high. And then the whole building is higher. And then, of course, we are higher than historical building.
It's all about money.
And it's about the money. That's why this project is blind old wall with graffiti for 10 years because cannot move from one reason or the other.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have no windows then on that east wall, or the west wall, excuse me.
Ms. Kelly, if we can show the site plan, it will clarify.
There are windows.
There are?
Yeah.
Where?
For the bedrooms.
On the west wall?
On the site plan, maybe we can show the relation to the property line. So we see this thick hidden line. This is the existing property line. We don't know necessarily the relation of the existing building to the property line, but the previous building was clearly away from the property line, and we are not encroaching past what was already established for many, many decades. What we suggest that we can move further, about 8 inches, because this wall needs to be removed. By the time we remove the wall, we may not rebuild in the same place. We remove the foundation, or we may keep portion of the foundation. So therefore, the footprint of the building will stay. Now, if we go to the main floor and upper floor plan, please. Yeah, so this is the main floor, and as we see on commercial portion facing the building,
There's no
windows.
there's no openings, no windows.
There was when I was looking
Yeah,
at
and you
it.
step back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until we pass the footprint of existing building, we have windows, but we have proper distance to the property line, 5 feet.
Right. What's the second floor again, Kelly?
And the second floor is the same. Okay.
No windows on it.
We follow the footprint of the building. Where's the kitchen on the right side? But the window in these apartments on the top right corner,
Yeah.
it's set back to avoid
Right.
the
And then it's
complication with the fire
and then
code.
going to apartment.
Yes.
I can't
And the
see
next
it. It
apartment.
steps down further.
Yeah, it's even further. And then we have deck, we step even further. Yeah.
Yeah, 203. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I hear you.
Any questions? Because from that text written and highlighted, I see big confusion, misunderstanding.
No. I got you.
And I don't see any problem with that. Unless I'm wrong.
Anything?
No questions.
Ray?
No.
Okay, thank you. There was no public comment on this, unless you want to ask something.
Well,
Before
the
we-
one thing, it says minor changes to window placement or location on side and rear facades are permitted without additional HRB review. On the east side of the building, that's right along Monroe, They're,
That would be
you know,
the,
they're very visible. I think they were saying
South side.
because of this, would it be the south side?
Monroe would be the south side, right?
The
No,
bottom elevation is, I
the
think it's
parking lot is to
Monroe.
the south.
Yeah.
So this is along Monroe. That picture right there, correct?
The lower portion, the lower elevation is facing
It's-
Monroe.
This
It's
is
Monroe.
7th right here.
I don't know where it's south or
Seventh is
east,
here.
but it's Monroe Street.
7th is here, parking lot's there, the church house is in back, correct? And then this is the side facing the church house, correct?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
facing the church. Yeah.
Right, and then this is the side facing Monroe.
Yeah.
It's very visible, and so, that was said, it's just changes to window placement or location on the side and rear facades are permitted without additional HRB review. The ones on the, but yet it's showing on here that, you know, on the west side, that shows windows still.
Well, this is where the church building is. This is that first apartment where they step in.
No, it's over here.
No, it's right here. This is the first window that steps in, and then this is the next apartment that steps further back because here's the church building, and this steps back for the required setback
Oh, I
here.
got you. Turn around.
And then this steps back even further,
Further, so that there is
the
a-
setbacks and the separation are created on the second
So
floor.
it's just along where the church building is that there cannot be the windows, correct?
You can have the windows, but they're stepped back so they don't need to do fire.
Right,
This
they're
is solid
outside-
down here.
Right, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
ones on the side, if they're changed, you know, and I guess the major word there is minor, because if it's just, you know, moved a little, but, that's such a low, you know, visible side, we don't want to change it too much.
I bet they won't, the way the windows are situated.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of, so I just wanted to make sure. I think that's it.
Is that it?
I do believe, yes,
Okay,
no more notes.
thank you.
Well, I would like to address the other questions and points of concern, if I can.
You can, but the board has no other questions for you.
Okay, on this item, how about the bay windows or any other concerns? I don't know if we have any other concerns or everything is nice.
Sure. No, I think we're good. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And if I'm looking correctly, there is no public comments on this item.
Other
So-
than the ones that,
No, we don't have any on this one.
okay, that were sent.
Oh, that was for, well, I don't have any public comments.
Oh, okay, but
So-
there's McLaughlin.
Yeah.
Okay,
So if that's the case, I'm going to close the public hearing. And we can deliberate, discuss, do whatever. No, you're great. No, it's awesome. Check and balance.
Okay. Staff recommendation is for approval subject to the list of conditions that we're looking at.
Can we go back, please?
Why am I not?
I want
Here
to
we
go
go.
back to the conditions, but I guess I just go this way.
that's the
Yeah,
conditions.
where's
Oh,
the
it's
one
on,
with the
on page 2.
highlighting on it?
3B.
Oh, that's on Kelly's copy.
Oh, yeah. Which we were just looking at?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get that back up again.
no, this thing doesn't like condition.
Oh, there.
And here's the number.
There we go.
Yes. So my understanding is that the neighborhood association and the applicant are in agreement that the roof pitch should remain as it is in the drawings. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
The lower pitch.
Yeah.
It's proposed as 812.
Yep.
And then the other one is the variation on the 12-foot ceiling height.
I can provide a little background on that if you'd like.
Yeah, I recall when we talked about it before, our consideration was based on minimizing the profile as it stood next to the church house.
Yeah, so.
Keep them compatible.
Right. Well, the applicant didn't request anything in the application or indicate what the floor height was, and so we didn't have any information to, tell us that this was an issue for them. But I did just open up the 2014 staff report, which said, the applicant at that time requested support for the board to reduce the minimum height required to 10 feet to decrease the massing of the structure and better align with the abutting church house. And it says that staff does not see a discernible difference in either approach and would support any approach that reduces the volume of the building without compromising the commercial integrity of the ground floor. So the approach was supported by staff, and I think that it was supported by the board at the time. So this condition that's written in here is just based on what our design guidelines say. And if the board wishes to kind of use the arguments from 2014 to support removing that condition and allowing a lesser floor height, I think that seems appropriate.
Yeah. It would reduce some of the massing too, yeah.
But we should stipulate the height, whether it be 10 or 11.
Yes, a motion.
As part of the motion.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to try it. Go for it. I've got so many notes on it, it's like.
Here's you got that?
Yes, I've got it right here. So I move to approve GLU or HR 20-02 for a new two-story mixed-use building at 927th Street with the following conditions, that they use an 812 pitch roof, and the guidelines for the height in the interior would be 11 feet for the commercial area and 10 for the residential. And that they, this is where I'm confused, that the new structure the walls will be placed at least 5 feet from the church building eaves or outcropping to meet the minimum building requirements. Did I get everything?
Can I ask for some clarification? So that first condition says add more detail to provide more Queen Anne elements or increase the roof pitch. So does the board wish the applicant to add another more Queen Anne elements such as bay windows or ornamentation? Or is that condition, are you proposing to get rid of that completely?
Well, the McLaughlin neighborhood, they didn't care for, addition of a lot. And plus it's commercial.
So you can eliminate that.
So, yeah, let's go ahead and eliminate one. Or at least part of it, that part of it, because in there it also talks about the roof pitch,
That's right, so if you eliminate that.
Eliminate
Yeah,
one.
just eliminate.
Yeah,
Just eliminate
just eliminate the first, yeah.
Change-
And just have
Change it.
to
Change
just,
2 to 11 feet
yeah,
and keep 3?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
That's why I didn't want to do.
No, you did it.
So can you kind of,
Restate the motion?
yes, please.
So
To clarify, on 3, we're keeping it as written, which will force them
3.
to move the wall further. That's what, I just want to make sure we're on the same page, is that?
So
Or
I thought it
minimum
was the
building
5
code.
feet.
But it's minimum code, whichever's greater.
And that's 5 feet, isn't it?
So in this case, my understanding is that what he has meets minimum building code, but the wall is not 5 feet. So this condition would force him to move it another 1.5 feet or something of that nature. Just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Well,
You could,
is that clear in everybody's head? Maybe I'll withdraw the motion at this point, and we should probably, because that's.
Yeah, let's clarify that.
Yeah, that sounds,
But I guess the choices would be keep it, or we could just modify it to just meet the building code, but not 5 feet.
probably modify it to meet the building code. That's what I would suggest.
yeah, because then they'd have to do the firewall.
I would, you can keep that motion, but maybe modify 3 is, to meet the code.
Okay, I think the idea behind that condition was to give some space to the historic structure. Knowing that
Absolutely.
there are, windows on that side and it's so close, just to give a little bit more light and air space. So that was the purpose of that condition, but,
I don't,
I would prefer to have it be the 5 feet, just because there is, those, it's so big, and if you stand there and look at, what, even with that wall gone, there's a bit, but,
whatever you want to do in your motion.
um,
If you want to keep it the way it is.
I'm gonna keep it the way it is, and if it fails, that's fine. So
Okay.
if you could read that again?
yeah, so the motion was to approve with the conditions of approval, removing condition of approval number 1 and modifying condition of approval number 2 to change 12 feet to 11 feet.
Right, but in number 1 is where it has the roof pitch, so we still need to get.
Well,
the-
they've proposed an
Eliminating
8-12.
1 entirely. It's gone.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, increase, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Okay,
Yeah,
we good?
good lord.
So we can call a vote? Or no, we need a
Is there a
second.
second?
I'll second the motion.
And then we can vote.
Okay, Board Member Stobie,
Aye.
Board Member Met,
Aye.
Board Member Basinger,
Aye.
Board Member Blythe,
Aye.
and Chair McLaughlin.
Aye.
Increase L. so
Okay,
this is
next item is 3C, HR 20-01, historic review for a new live-work unit in the McLaughlin Conservation District on 5th. Stop. Hold on.
Yeah.
Does any commissioner have any ex parte contacts, conflicts of interest, bias, or any other statement to declare?
No.
I do. I was sitting beside Cameron McCready at, I can't even remember what it was, but we had a brief, maybe 2-minute, discussion. I said, let's stop. But I just wanted, that came up, and I said, I can't talk to you. So basically, and I told him I would report it, just to keep it on the level.
Is that okay?
Absolutely. That's
Alright.
where we have these.
Okay?
Yeah, okay. Has any commissioner visited the site?
Yes.
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 Does anyone in the audience wish to question any of the commissioners about these disclosures? Okay, we'll turn it over to staff.
Thank you. I have a public comment that was received this afternoon to give to you from a neighbor.
Oh, I read that one.
Oh, I read, yeah.
So this wasn't emailed to you. So if you want time to read it, let me know and I'll wait.
I read it.
I do too.
Yeah, I read all this. Okay.
Duly noted.
Okay, so this is HR 2001, historic review for a new live work unit in the McLaughlin Conservation District. And before I really get into it, I just want to make sure that my recommendation is clear, that I don't recommend approval today because we're missing a lot of information, and we have a design that, in staff's opinion, doesn't meet the design guidelines. And so I do have a list of items that I would recommend you, the applicant provide for a later hearing date.
This is one of the ones for continuance, and from what I read, there just wasn't
complete.
enough of anything.
So yeah, my recommendation would be to continue the hearing to allow the applicant to provide more information, or make some changes to the design.
Yeah, so if we could just go straight to making a motion for a continuance and then move on, correct?
Can we?
Sure, you can do that. So that list of items, you might want to, if you agree or disagree with that list of items. And, the second bullet is asking for a better explanation from the applicant regarding the appropriateness of the proposed design, or changes to the design which would meet the design guidelines. So if you want to provide a little more direction on that to the applicant, that might be helpful. But otherwise, yeah, you can feel free to do what you'd like to do.
Well, there's the option of bypassing all of it and just making that motion and being done.
Sure.
And I don't know what the board wants to do. I looked at it. I thought it was, anyway.
And this is what you're recommending, that they additionally provide over and above what's been provided already, correct?
Right.
There's just not enough there to.
So, and I also have, I have staff report with findings, and I have, I have recommended conditions based on what they have now. But I didn't feel that I could recommend conditions of approval because we're missing so much information and because the design guidelines aren't met in a few different cases.
I'm just kind of questioning how it got to this point where we're having to talk about it because it is very incomplete.
The applicant has the option to tell the city, like if it's been deemed incomplete, the applicant has the option to say, all right, here's what I'm providing to you, and I am telling you to deem it complete with what I've provided. I'm not providing any more. And so that's what happened in this case. And so we went ahead and deemed it complete and put it on the agenda because we were told this is what I'm providing and nothing more.
Got you. Does anybody on the board have a comment about this, Grant?
Do we have public comment forums for this?
There is, but that's my question, is if we go straight to continuance, that obviates all of that and we move on.
I'm in favor of being brief, but if people made time in their schedule to make it to the meeting, I'd prefer to give them the opportunity to.
Then if we do that, then we have the obligation, do we have the obligation to then hear from the applicant?
Carrie?
Well, I think it would be fair to give the applicant an opportunity. I don't think you have to give them 15 minutes.
No, but if we've already probably are going down the road of a continuance, then do we be fair to everyone or do we just do nothing for anyone and move on? That's my question.
I
I want to be fair.
It's your choice.
Yeah.
My thought is that historically, if folks took the time to come out and hear from them,
Right.
I think it would be appropriate to say, we're going to continue this, so we're only going to give everybody, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, something, because we're going to come back at the end of March and we're going to do this again.
Continue.
Right. So let's do this. There are two people that want to make comments on this. Did those two people, Linda and Cameron, feel like you need to make comments, or do you understand that this will be
That you're
continued?
going to table it and reconsider the design?
Yeah,
I don't need to make a comment.
Okay.
Just,
Does-
it just is not appropriate.
okay. Same?
I would like to talk.
I'll give you a few minutes. Yeah,
Or do we give the applicant?
but I can also give the applicant a few minutes as well.
Sure, yeah.
How much time would you like me to put on the
3 minutes.
Okay.
Cameron McCready, McLaughlin Neighborhood Association. We had a special general meeting regarding both this and the 7th Street property. The Neighborhood Association membership, the majority liked the 7th Street plan. We had some additional things that we felt needed to be met.
Let's stick with what we're
Yeah,
talking
right,
about.
okay, but this one, quite the opposite. It was poorly received. We felt that there was a communication barrier, but also an attempt to not call this a foster home when it's a foster home.
Right.
And being a foster home, I'm sure there are some federal and state and perhaps some local requirements for the structure to meet those the needs. And we were feeling like we were being told, well, it's really not a foster home. It's more of a home to care for some of the family elders. But it's what is it? I don't know how many bedrooms,
It's like 11.
11 bedrooms
It's a foster
and
home.
9 bathrooms and
Yeah.
several kitchens and all. So I just want you to be aware of the fact that, and I want the city to be aware of the fact that this is what it is. And I think that we need to just be focused on making sure that the building is built to satisfy those requirements. Thank you.
Thanks. Would the applicant like to come up for a minute or two, knowing that we are going to continue this?
Yes.
3 minutes.
So we have several concerns or miscommunication because we started this project and when the owner bought the parcel, there was no historic review requirements. There was no home association at that time, I was told. But the first recommendation from the city staff was to provide bungalow-style building. And we did. It was beautiful. Owner liked, everybody liked. But I got the opinion from, communicated by Ms. Reed, that actually 4 square would be approved, and 4 square is recommended. So we came up with the 4 square design. And then if I can show, or you have the rendering. Yes, so the 4 square is basically on a 2-story, 2.5-story, and this is residential. Residential. Okay. We have a problem that this area is zoned residential/commercial. And then so we ask specifically about some guidelines, about some samples, how to put this thing to two different together. No recommendations, no guidelines, no sample to follow. Okay, so we have totally different scope of work and project dictated not by ourselves, by myself or the owner, by the city, that it must be not residential, it must be mixed use. Okay, so mixed use, the owner wants 2-story. And 2-story is fine for 4 square, no problem, especially on the flat lot. But we have to have a commercial. And the first design approach was the commercial could be on the back of the property. The final recommendation was the commercial space, 900 square feet. The studio has to face the street, has to be on the front. On the lot that is sloping from left to right, as you see this hidden line, how you do this? Okay, so we put this studio at the ground level. We had to dig into the soil. We have situation not only that the city requires different thing, historical review, different thing, but we have the sloping situation, we have the difficult lot and geotechnical situation. So how this put together, so we end up with 1 story of commercial and 2 story of residential. My question to the board is that going to work? Because 1 + 2 is 3, not 2, not 2.5, and we have a simple problem, how to put this thing together. If it is zoned to residential, fine, we will do 2 story. No height restriction, fine, we have no problem. About the height restriction, one of the points says not more than 28 feet or 30 feet.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
So what is I don't know, what is a foster home rated as? Is that residential or is that commercial?
I don't think it's relevant.
It does, okay.
It's not use questions are not relevant to what you all need.
Need to do, we're
do.
just looking.
You're looking at what you're seeing
It's on our
right there
purview.
and the
Right.
fact that a lot of it's
Right.
incomplete and not.
I think that the applicant needs some guidance about what is, appropriate massing, and whether you want to do that tonight or you want to wait and.
That could be a design guideline situation,
That could be your
design advice,
Design advice.
but that's not what this is.
I appreciate that.
So that's where I
There seems to be some confusion or misunderstanding regarding what mixed-use zoning requires.
or the
It
dependent.
requires, it allows either or use. It doesn't require both. Am I right?
There's one exception to that, and that is if single-family dwellings are not permitted on their own in the mixed-use zone.
Okay.
Residential care facilities are a permitted use. What we've been told is that it's a single-family use with commercial space, which is okay in the mixed-use zone if it's paired together, but on its own, a single-family use is not permitted.
But it's the commercial space that pushed it up to 3 stories. What the applicant said.
I think what I'm seeing is the onus needs to be on the applicant
needs to
and not
figure
being
out,
pushed
yeah.
on the city and saying it's the city's responsibility. I see the applicant needing to
Make decisions.
deal with this, not having to be dependent on the city, but I see that I'm just seeing that it's an incomplete application and that it's far from coming before us to even get to that point. So that's where I'm at. I don't know where everybody else is.
I agree.
Yeah.
My only additional comment before it sounds like you all are making an motion for a continuance, and I think that's fine. But if the applicant at the next meeting does not produce the materials that you all think are necessary, we're gonna be in a denial situation because we have timelines for decision-making that need to move forward.
That are in,
But that can be
that are on,
design.
that are in
But that could be
process
a-
now, right?
That could be a design advice. What I'm
Right.
seeing is something's coming before us that's incomplete and wanting to get an approval where it's the process is skewed now. That this should have been a design advice situation.
Right, well, I mean, and that may be right, it should be design advice, but it's not now. And we
No.
we have 120 days to make a final decision on this application. And so if the applicant does not provide this missing material, you all are going to have to make a decision based on the material you have.
Right.
Which it sounds like you're I don't know, you haven't decided, but staff said, based on the information they had, she had the criteria not met.
Right, and that's what I'm reading, and that's what I've read, and that's what I got out of this is it's not met and it's not close. So, but that's, no.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is our second time.
Come on up, come
Yeah,
on
come
up.
up here.
They came for design review before.
This is our second time in regards to this project and the same design.
When was the last time?
They came for design advice
Yeah.
before.
At that time, we did not hear, at least it did not communicate to me that we have some negative opinions that this will not work. We delayed the process because the neighborhood association wanted to hear us first. But we did not hear any problems stated clearly that 3-story would be a problem in this situation, the height would be a problem, or massing, or any of this. Explain and get some kind of advice how to go around this.
When was this? Because I have, Was I here?
There was a, I don't recall, but there was a design advice.
Yeah, it was design
I don't
review.
remember ever seeing this.
It might have been in November.
It was a different,
November?
I don't remember seeing this.
Right,
I remember seeing something different
So-
for the Fifth
It
Avenue.
was
What
November-
happened
that
in the
meeting, I
design
wasn't here.
advice, it was a different design, and the board
Yeah.
suggested that because it was kind of a boxy structure, the board suggested that Foursquare might be more appropriate as a style. And that's where that came from originally, was from design advice. But the board did not see this
Okay, I was
design
gonna say the Massey.
until now.
I don't think I was there. I don't remember.
Well, you
ever
missed
talking-
one, didn't you?
I did, and I know I was out in November.
I think it was earlier than that.
Earlier? I don't
I think
remember.
so.
Maybe I was. I don't remember any of this. I'm out.
Regardless, should we
What do we do?
provide feedback now, or should we just?
What would you like to do?
Well, this is an application, so we were providing feedback, but we have 120 days.
But I think does design advice kick in the 120 days? It couldn't have, because we would have been way
Doesn't
past
count.
that
No,
already.
no, no.
No, it's a
but
public
him
hearing.
now,
It's
public
this
hearing.
application.
Yeah,
It's 4 months.
yeah.
So we would like to hear the advice from you and your opinion on that,
I don't
so
know
we
if we're
don't waste
there
our
yet.
time.
But we can't do an opinion without all the information.
If we can hear what information are missing, because the bulk of the design is here, and the key elements, we would like to discuss the key elements of this approach, if that's going to work. If that's going to work about the color of the trim and the height of the wall, instead of the screening wall, instead of 4 feet, 3 foot 6, there's nothing much to talk about. But the main idea, how to approach this problem, how to solve, how to put together residential and commercial together and fit the quote unquote square, Foursquare style, that we would like to hear if we need to keep going with this or just walk away from the project.
This is the first, I don't know what to do.
Because the city has guidelines that, for example, the garage should be, it cannot be 16 feet wide, two-car garage. But I have done some research and I have found pictures of classic Foursquare with attached garage and two-car garage, which I can share and would like to have opinion. Is it going to fly like this, or we have to change totally to, say, two-car garage? This is one of the points. And we would like to hear opinion. Is it going to work like this, or?
Well, in the
Or
staff
not.
report, the staff report said that there was a lot of things that they still needed, and that, she had a list of what was still needed to complete the application. So what we would be looking at is an incomplete application. So,
My question, and I would respectfully disagree with this opinion.
That's fine. I guess what I'm saying is we're going off of what staff's told us. It's kind of like you got 4 wheels but not a steering wheel, man. You need all of it so you can drive, and there's things that you're missing.
good enough.
And so I'm going off of basically what staff's providing to us and the recommendation of what's been incomplete, and it's in the report. So I don't know that this is the place where we need to take your incomplete packet and try and fix it for you. And the city's it's not their responsibility either. So that's why there's a continuance that's going to give you the opportunity to resolve these things on your own. And if you need to come back for design advice, that's fine. But this isn't the place to do it because there's too many things here that are missing. So that's where I'm at. I'm just asking if the rest of the board has any other opinions on that, or if they want to make a motion.
120 days from today. Is it 120 from today or the date of?
The date of
receipt?
completeness. So that was January,
The
right?
date of completeness was February 6th or 7th, and the 120-day deadline is June 6th, I believe. The applicant can extend that date.
And even if they
If
come
they
back for design
wish.
advice, it's all going to be, there's plenty of time. So,
I'll make a motion for continuance on this application.
okay, on
We need to continue to a date certain, so
Yeah.
March,
the March meeting.
March 24th.
So,
So continue,
Rafe.
so March 24th, 2020.
I
okay,
second it.
okay, there is a second. So can we have a vote?
Board Member Stobie,
Aye.
Board Member Met,
Aye.
Board Member Basinger.
Aye.
Board Member Blythe,
Aye.
Chair McLaughlin.
Aye. Thank you. Okay. Um,
420,
we at,
424th,
is that 3D? No,
20
3D?
-05.
Okay.
Oh, 3D, yes.
Okay, our next item is 3D, review for a detached garage in the McLaughlin Conservation District at 424th Street. Does any commissioner have any ex parte context, conflict of interest, bias, or any other statement to declare?
No.
Nope.
No. No? Has any commissioner visited the site? Yes?
Yep.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Does anyone in the audience wish to question any of the commissioners about these disclosures? Okay.
That's Linda. Okay.
So we're gonna start with staff report on this one.
We won't send another notice because it's on March 24th, but I would,
Oh,
you can look at the agenda posted online a week ahead of time and see what the recommendation is, because if they haven't provided the information in time, then we're gonna have another continuance. Okay.
yeah, this is 3D.
Yeah, and it's, what was it, HRB, Historic Review Board. Well, you'll just look at, 2001. Okay. So this is actually another, this is another continuance recommendation.
Right.
I actually don't see the applicant here. Thank you. So I'll just tell you what it is and why I'm recommending a continuance. HR 2005, new detached garage in the McLaughlin district. This is a non-designated structure in the McLaughlin district, but a new detached garage that is 400 square feet, thus it triggers review for new construction. And we don't have a site plan from the applicant, and I expected that we would get one before this meeting, but we haven't. So the problem with that is, one, it's helpful to have a site plan, and two, it's clear that the applicant needs a preservation incentive just based on the dimensions of the lot. So they have a 20 by 20 structure that's proposed, facing the street, with the garage door facing the street, and we have a 20-foot setback requirement for garages from the public right-of-way, yet the property's only 35 feet wide. So clearly they need an exception to setback somewhere, but they haven't requested that. So this is they're gonna have to tell us what they're requesting, give us a site plan, and then come back to a later meeting.
Sure.
I have a question. In reading through that, it said that there had been another garage on the property that was demolished.
Yeah, this little.
Where,
It's gone.
but wasn't there a curb cut? Because you're talking about doing a new curb cut?
Yeah, no,
Getting rid of that
I can't see that there was a curb cut for that garage.
Yeah, it's like,
I think it was
huh?
more of like a
Shed.
shed or
Yeah.
a shop.
Oh, okay, because I was just like,
Right,
Yeah,
if you're putting another garage where one was, where's the curb cut?
right.
this is kind of incomplete and
Okay.
a little bit, on a lot of things. So I would so move to, for continuance for HR 2005 to a later date certain, which is,
March 24th.
yes, that. If somebody wants to second that.
I'll second.
Can we have a vote?
Board Member Stobie.
Aye.
Board Member Met.
Aye.
Board Member Basinger.
Aye.
Board Member Blythe.
Aye.
And Chair McLaughlin.
Aye. Our next item is 3E, 2004 Historic Review Board review of a new single-family home and detached garage in the Kenema National Register Historic District on 4th Avenue. Does any commissioner have any ex parte contacts, conflict of interest, bias, or any other statements to declare?
No.
Nope.
No?
I do.
I will comment on
Oh, yes.
You go ahead. You want to
Okay,
go first?
I'll go first. Kelly actually has it for the presentation. As the Kenema representative on the Historic Review Board, I obviously live in Kenema, and specifically I live at 407 Fifth Avenue. There was a developer in the mid-2000s that built my property, my neighbor Bob Seward, who was previously on this board, and was planning to develop this property and also submitted the previous application that was approved here. As part of that, he constructed the road that is on the Hedges right-of-way between 4th and 5th Avenue. Although that's in the public street, the driveway itself or the pavement is not a public street. And so there is a covenant between my property, between the Seawards property, and between the applicant's property to maintain that shared driveway for the three homes. Because the actions of the board, either the actions or inactions, will not have any effect on that for me personally or for the applicants, I don't see any conflict of interest. So plan to continue to review the application, but I'm open to any questions or challenges from the attendees.
Okay.
Okay, and ex parte contact, as the chair of the Kenema Neighborhood Association, I did contact the applicants and invite them to attend our meeting, which was last Thursday, and spoke to them, did not discuss any specifics, and when the portion of the meeting came to their presentation, I recused myself, and the vice chair took over the meeting for the duration of that presentation. I'll also say in this instance that I am a licensed real estate broker in Oregon. In that capacity, I assist buyers and sellers of residential properties. This property is not for sale nor proposed to be for sale, and so on that basis, there is no conflict of interest. And for the record, I've never had any dealings with any transactions regarding this property.
Okay. Does anyone in the audience wish to question any of the commissioners about these disclosures? Okay. Thank you. We'll go to staff.
Okay, thanks. This is HR 2004, review of new single-family home and detached garage in the Kenema National Register District. You might remember this property from 2 rounds of design advice, but they were, I believe, way back in 2018, so it's been a while.
I was there. You were there.
So this is a vacant lot, 100 by 100, in Kenema at the corner of 4th Avenue and unimproved Hedges Street. You recently approved a new bungalow on the neighboring lot at 306 4th Avenue. It's just separated by a 12-foot alley from this property. So this property is also in the geologic hazard overlay, natural resource overlay, and the Willamette River Greenway, and the applicant has applied for their review of those, submitted an application, and it's not complete at this time. But those have been submitted. So there's a view of the property from 4th Avenue. There is a historic basalt retaining wall that does partially front the property within the 4th Avenue right-of-way. You can see it in the photo right there. And then here the neighboring properties on the left side are the contributing historic homes, 207 4th Avenue across the street, 211 5th, which is up the hill, 408 4th, which is on the same side of Fourth, on the other side of Hedges. And then non-designated newer construction homes at 311 Ganong and 349 Fifth Avenue, which is just in between this property and Fifth. And so you can see the house is proposed to face Fourth Avenue and detached garage in the back corner of the property and the driveway coming off of Hedges right-of-way. The applicant has chosen a bungalow style. The size of the home is just about 3,200 square feet. That doesn't include basement space. That number wasn't provided. And then the detached garage is 550 square feet with a 400 square foot upper level that was labeled as unfinished attic, but future potential use. The width of the home is 46.5 feet, and the height from down, the bottom base level is 32 feet, but from the main floor is 25.5 feet. And so the applicant did provide a sightline kind of perspective drawing from Fourth. Floor plan of the main floor. We didn't receive a floor plan for the basement level, so I don't know how much space is actually crawl space and how much is actually finished space in the basement level. And then there's the upper floor plan. So the home has a 712 pitch there on the side. And then there's the back, the rear elevation. So there's a single shed dormer on the back and on the front, but quite lengthy. So I'm just going to go straight to the main issue here, which is the width and the overall size of the home. So the design guidelines, say that the homes need to be in proportion and shouldn't go outside of the range of historic home dimensions and sizes. So this, with the width of 46 feet, is well outside of the historic bungalow widths. And even when you look at the newer bungalows that have been built in Kenema, even under today's guidelines and the old design guidelines, those range generally between 30 feet and 36 or 37 feet wide. So 46 feet is significantly wider for a bungalow. The depth is within the range, and then the overall footprint is on the upper end and slightly exceeding the range of the historic homes. And so my recommendation is really to continue and allow the applicant time to kind of resolve this, the size, massing, and width issue. But I just wanted to highlight a couple other things. Because of the topography and the overall size of the house, there's quite a bit of tree removal that is proposed. You can see there are 4 trees in the right-of-way that are proposed to remain, and then 2 trees on the property that are proposed to remain. And so that includes this tree here in the right-of-way, and then this. It was labeled as an oak. It might actually be a maple. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell in the wintertime when there aren't any leaves.
I bet it's an alder.
But yeah, they're covered in ivy in the trunks. But because of the, what we know about construction practices, I do recommend a condition of approval, or a condition, if it comes to approval later, that the the applicant have an arborist assess the trees that are selected for preservation, and make some recommendations on how to really protect those during construction, because so many other trees are proposed to be removed. I think the ones that are going to be preserved need to really be preserved properly. And so an arborist recommendation, follow those recommendations. And if the arborist looks at it and says, actually, this tree is not likely to survive construction, then I would recommend that the applicant, make some changes and come back and figure something else out so that there aren't even more trees that are removed on this lot. This is the list of trees that are proposed to be removed. There are, I think, 2 additional trees that are on the property that are not identified on the site plan that appear, so I don't know if those are proposed to be removed or not, but they're not shown as being preserved. And the reason for my recommendation there is that the design guidelines call for minimization of tree removal by adjusting house siting and replanting to preserve tree canopy. The guidelines also say that clear cutting of lots is listed as not allowed. The applicant is preserving some trees, so I don't think we can necessarily call this a clear cut, but I wanted to just bring this up.
If you want us to do like a continuance, would that be part of the continuance? Is it having the arborist look at the tree and have them come back? Or no?
Yeah, you could, but I think it would work as a condition of approval as well.
That's what I was asking.
The condition, that said, the condition of approval is come back to the HRB if if it's looking like you can't preserve these trees. So
Gotcha.
that could be something the board could ask for before the next hearing. The other things I want to touch on are the entryway design and basement level. I have recommended conditions that I think could potentially work and not require these things can be corrected through conditions. I don't think the width issue and the overall massing and size could be, I couldn't think of conditions of approval that would solve that issue, which is why I haven't recommended any. But I think that for the entryway, the 4 doors, the overall width, the lack of a stair to the porch, I think that all can be handled through conditions of approval. So I've kind of written those in. But again, if the design changes, then they may not be, those are subject to change as well.
Sure. So, you're recommending a continuance.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing as before. If that's the case, then we can make that motion and choose not to hear from people.
Right.
Or we do like we did in the other one and give these people 3 minutes each. If we're knowing that we are gonna do a continuance, like we did before.
And I think that's good because then the applicant can hear what some of the concerns are.
Right, so I think what we'll do, and we'll keep a very accurate shot clock, that I'll only allow 3 minutes per person, regardless of who you're representing. And I'll start with the public comments. I don't know which one I got first, so I'll start with Paul. If you want to come up for 3 minutes, we'll start the clock.
Thank you.
Go ahead and state your name and your city.
Thank you, Board. Paul Edgar, Oregon City and Kanema.
But I will stop you, Paul, when it hits it.
What I would like to reference literally in the first page here is that this is a 3-story building bungalow, and our code says 1.5 stories is max. So this is kind of like, it's wide, it's square footage of everything. But the key thing is here is that it does not contribute to the collective whole of making Kanema a National Register district. It doesn't fall into the integrity of the overall district, and it doesn't compare. One of the critical things is that this is, if you look at the contributing historic houses around it, there is down on the river, McLaughlin, down there, all of the homes of this type are down there. Around up on the hillside, they were all basically initially vernacular. And this type of house, with its gross size, mass, stands out. It overwhelms all of the rest of the inventory and all of the contributing inventory that it should be comparable to, and therefore it detracts. And I don't think that that can be really challenged as that it does detract. It's nice, it's just massively not the best fit for this site, and it will detract from everyone that comes into the neighborhood, and in effect is part of the 1,000 cuts that we all see are taking place, that in effect destroys the integrity of Kenema being a National Register Historic District. And because of that, I just have to say it should not be approved. I would love to see a continuance, however, and give the applicant an opportunity to come back and see what they could do. But right now, the way it is, I don't see how, even with any of the possible contingencies or things that you could possibly list out, it just can't make it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Paul.
Ron? Bert? I'm sorry, I can't read it.
Weislein.
Weislein.
Weislein, thank you.
Okay, state your name and your city.
Ron Weislein, Kenema, Oregon.
Are you representing yourself or the
I'm
neighborhood
going to
association?
represent the land use liaison first, and then I'll represent myself, please.
You got 3 minutes.
Thank you. For both?
For both.
Thank you. As Ken mentioned previously, we did have a meeting the other night at the neighborhood association meeting. He did step aside and let Bob take over. He made no comments at the meeting. There was a discussion about the home for quite a lengthy time. Most of the discussion was over size and mass, and it was negative comments. It was too big for the neighborhood, they say. They did have concerns about doors and windows, but the mass was mostly the biggest issue. So there was no vote taken to write a letter to the HRB about the size of the home or the acceptance of it. So that pretty much it went away, and we closed the meeting with no letter from the neighborhood association for this home. Thank you. My personal comments, as going through the last 7 years of watching the neighborhood association meetings and the board approve homes in Kenema, like Kelly referred to, the average home is about 1,300 square feet for a footprint. And this home is drastically bigger than that for sizing. With the new approvals just recently in the last few months, as you know, there's been 7 of them in the last few years. But in the last 4 or 5 months, there's about 4 or 5 that are about half or even less the size of this home. And the neighboring home next to it is also, per your approval, that it originally started out too large also. So I think the city is correct in what they've said compared to the last ordinances and prerequisites made by the board. And I think the neighborhood association follows that also. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good job.
Would the applicant like to come up and make any comments? You want to state your name and your city, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hasn't started yet, then.
Until that green light hits. Hit the green light.
My name's Bill Robinson with Design Providence LLC, representing the applicants. Are all the documents that were provided for the application available here? Mm-hmm. Okay, is there a street view showing the house adjacent up above it on Hedges? I don't know how I'm going to do all this in 3 minutes, to be honest with you, but I'd like to help these people state their case.
That's all you get.
should be delayed.
So while she's doing that,
Well,
I'm
give you-
multitask here.
Yeah.
Because there's some precedents here. I know everybody's thrown out some numbers that are smaller and everything, but I've seen some stuff that I know was approved within the last few years that's pretty bulky looking to me, with attached garages to boot. So I don't know what has to happen for that to occur, if there's another procedure that's supposed to happen in order to get something approved that's big and has an attached garage on it, because that's where we started off, but we made a lot of adjustments to try to meet the criteria through the advice. So that's a picture of the house above. I did a sight line of both of them side by side.
Are those?
It would be, I think that's right. Yeah. So to me, the scale looks pretty similar. I know supposedly that was done at a time when it was, the requirements were looser, I suppose, might be the right word. But scale-wise, I think it's misleading to say that everything surrounding this thing are little dainty historic houses. I mean, there's quite a bit of stuff that's similar in scale. The other thing to point out, as far as bungalows need to be in a 1.5 story. With this topography, that's basically impossible unless you want to have your living space in a basement. So, I mean, if you just do the math and figure out a way to have an entrance to this space that doesn't have, window wells in your living room, there's no way to pull that off, basically, that's reasonable. I mean, not to say it can't be done, but it wouldn't be a very livable space. Let's see. The house, I don't have the address, but the one I keep coming back to is up the street on 4th that has a garage underneath facing 4th and is every bit it's taller than this house. I know that for sure. I don't know the measurement on it, but I know it's taller.
The owner of the
712
house is
4th
here.
Avenue. That one. It seems, I look at that and I wonder why this wouldn't, be approved with conditions. I'm probably about out of time.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. So,
Did she want to say
And then
anything?
I think there's another applicant. That's reasonable, isn't it?
oh,
The actual.
I thought you were representing the
I was
owners.
representing, but I thought when you said it didn't matter who it was or who they represented, they had 3 minutes
She
each.
wants to say.
That's fine. That's
Sorry,
fine. If you want to take a few minutes, go ahead, state your name and your address, or where you live.
Thank you. Ludmila Izersky, my husband is right here. We are the applicants, and I just wanted to remind everybody that we did come in for an advice back in 2018 twice. We saw you guys, and you guys had requested that we detach the garage and reduce the size of the house. Which we did greatly reduce the sizing, and we you also wanted us to reduce the height, which we lowered the house greatly, and change the roof pitch, do a continuous shed dormer on the upper level, made columns smaller and less prominent, and put a door in the basement. So I just wanted to reiterate and remind everyone that we took your advice and worked on it for a long time. And I wanted to make sure everybody is happy. And we're also looking at it being our forever home, and it being we want our elderly parents to live with us. This is the intention, and of course, obviously, our 4 kids. So, multi-generation for a house is what I was after. And also, since it was brought up earlier, what width would be acceptable for the house?
we have a, it's okay for me to talk? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. Since 46 we're saying is too much, I guess the question would be, well, where is the happy place? So that we have some direction there. Because if it's a couple feet or 3 feet or 4, that might be doable within the context of the plan. If it's quite a bit more, I think we're going to have a hard time.
37 was the, what was that, the average or the median
33.
number?
33 is the
That's the
width.
next biggest one in there, 10 feet more than the biggest one. 37. It's a lot.
Go down to 40.
I do have a question here that this is a great chart, but we didn't have this when we did the design advice. If we had, and I went back and looked at I watched the videos yesterday from design advice, and while there was a great deal of discussion about the size of the house and some of the suggestions like detaching the garage, moving the living room over, these things were intended to reduce the footprint of the house, and they did, and they complied. But we never got to something objective like this, which leaves me feeling like we're moving the goalposts after we said where they were. That's my personal feeling about it.
To be quite honest, I would expect an applicant to do this sort of analysis to make their case, in a lot of, you know, and in this case, staff, and I actually put this together for the last bungalow that was approved, because there was some public comment that one was too big. But in both cases, the applicants didn't provide any justification for their width or comparisons, you know, no hard numbers were provided by the applicant. And so staff went ahead and did the work to produce this. But
I hear you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's not really, again, the onus isn't on the city to provide that for the applicant.
Right.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. Thank you. Does anybody else want to make any comments on that? Or make a motion, or do you have anything?
Yeah, I do have some comments though.
Yeah?
Okay, so first of all, I just want to say that I don't want you to take the feedback in a negative way or that we're not excited to have you build your property, because I feel like sometimes the board feels a little adversarial, and that's not really the intent here at all. And so, I'll speak just personally that, so I live right across over there, and my 8-year-old daughter's been asking how soon you guys are going to move in as soon as I told her about this application. And I had to explain to her that you have to build the house first, so it might be a little while, but she can't wait because she wants some other kids in the neighborhood. Second, I just want to say that, I recognize that this is a really challenging lot, and that compared to the first design that came for design advice, there's, in my opinion, a huge amount of improvement over that. So even though there's maybe still some additional work to be done, I think that there's a lot of great progress happening. So I think you're getting much closer. As far as massing, I think that I personally don't expect that the design is going to be, 1,500 square feet total footage like some of the, the historic contributing bungalow homes in the neighborhood. I recognize that it's new construction that, we've approved a number of different applications, some for family houses that are larger, some for some really small houses for, single folks or single couples. And I think I recognize that there's, should be diversity of housing in the neighborhood and that a variety of different structures are compatible. To me, just a couple of things that I think you do need to focus on or along the conditions that Kelly's put in there, and that's, a lot of it's around that basement, that rather than it being a third floor, as a bungalow design, it really needs to be a 1.5 story, so that main level needs to be the first story, the above story needs to be the half, and then that bottom level needs to look a little bit more like a basement, not have the main entry. The windows need to maybe not be as large as a full level there. There's not going to be any way on this slope for you to build a completely conventional, traditional bungalow design. But I think that's the direction that you have to move. And then, some minor adjustments on massing would be good, but I don't think you need to make drastic changes to be able to get where it needs to be. That's all I have to say.
Thanks. Awesome. Anybody else? Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion regarding, at this time, a continuance based on staff recommendation?
So moved.
Would anybody like to second that?
I'll second that.
We put that to a vote, please.
So we have a motion to continue
Yeah.
to March
What?
To date certain, March.
Yeah.
March
24th.
Ah, I can't remember. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was,
The
did you
date.
see the wisdom in so moved?
No, I did, but we just need to say it so that the public knows
Sure.
when to come back.
Roger. Okay. We have a vote.
Board Member Stobie?
Aye.
Board Member Met?
Aye.
Board Member Basinger?
Aye.
Board Member Blythe?
Hi.
Chair McLaughlin?
Aye. Okay, communications. Anything on number 4?
No.
Okay, then we are adjourned.
Woohoo.
Thank